Hey everyone, and welcome back to Underdog Investing. So is Nano Dimension a great buying opportunity now, or is it something that we should stay away from? So that's exactly what I'm going to talk about in today's video. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the stock price, and then I'm going to talk a bit about what Nano Dimension are and what they do, and then a bit about Cathie and Arc Invest and why they're so bullish on Nano Dimension, and finally some of the downsides and what I'm planning to do with the stock. So let's jump straight into it. So looking at the stock price, so we're nearing the end of the trading day today, and it's Thursday the 15th of April. We're at around $7.06, which is about 7% down. And if we have a look at the 5-day chart, you can see we're down about 13-14%. The 1-month chart, we're down about 36%. And then the 6-month chart, from our all-time high of around $16.6, we're down about 58%. So that's a significant pullback, and mainly due to the tech sell-off. But then, is this a great buying opportunity, or was it just overextended? Let's go into it. Firstly, starting with what the company are and what they do. So Nano Dimension are a 3D printing company. So I think Arc Invest explain it the best. So 3D printing is a form of additive manufacturing that builds objects layer by layer, as opposed to traditional subtractive manufacturing that removes material from larger blocks. So Arc believe that 3D printing will revolutionize manufacturing, growing at an annual rate of roughly 60% from $12 billion last year. And in just 5 years' time, they think it will grow to $120 billion by 2025. And they think that would happen because 3D printing saves time, cost, and waste whilst creating radically new part architectures. So they think this is a revolutionary technology. So that's basically what 3D printing is, but more about Nano Dimension. So Nano Dimension is a 3D printing company which provides intelligent machines for the fabrication of additively manufactured electronics. So they actually provide the 3D printing machines to companies. They sell those machines, and then those companies can use these machines to 3D print, or what they call additively manufacture, electronic devices. So it's also very diverse. For example, you can use these machines in autonomous intelligent drones. You can use it in cars, satellites, smartphones, and even medical devices. So there's a very diverse industries and sectors that you can go into with 3D printing, and that's one of the things that make the addressable market so large. Now, why is 3D printing better than usual manufacturing? So iterative development is one of them, IP safety, fast time to market, and device performance gains. So iterative development. So if you imagine Nano Dimension, they give a machine to a company, and now that company can use this machine to create prototypes. And rather than taking weeks, they can actually create those prototypes in a matter of hours. And what happens with that is, if you're creating prototypes on a more frequent basis, then you can iterate your product faster as well, and that results in a faster time to market. The other thing is IP safety. So if you imagine, rather than a company outsourcing its manufacturing, now they can actually buy the machine which 3D prints their devices in-house. They don't need to worry about their intellectual property being stolen by the outsourced manufacturers anymore. So that's one of the very important advantages of 3D printing and of Nano Dimension. Okay, so let's talk a bit more about Arc Invest. So this again is from the Arc Invest Big Ideas 2021 report, where they talk about 3D printing. And look at the addressable market. Up to $500 billion of addressable market and opportunity, ranging from aerospace to automobiles, machinery, healthcare, plastic products, footwear, metal products, and even hobbies, toys, and games. So the addressable market is huge. But why are Arc Invest so bullish on Nano Dimension? So if you have a look here at this graph, this is the 3D printing sales at public companies, and this is just over the last 5 years. You can see that Nano Dimension, which is the blue part, has a significant market share of the 3D printing sales. So that's why Arc Invest are so bullish on Nano Dimension, and it's understandable. And then here they just talk about how 3D printing was affected by the COVID-19. During the pandemic, sales were down slightly, and you can see the overall market was down slightly in terms of revenue. But at the same time, we were able to leverage 3D printing to improve certain aspects during the pandemic, such as personal protective equipment, personal accessories like face masks and mask filters, and also medical devices like ventilator valves. So these were all very important in helping with the pandemic. And it just shows how diverse and versatile and efficient 3D printing is, and is able to adapt to changes and actually help these things. So you're not just investing in a 3D printing company, you're investing in a company or a product that is impactful to the world. And again, this just goes back to the ARC Invest estimate of 60% compound annual growth rate of 3D printing, and going from $12 billion market to $120 billion market by 2025. And then this just shows that ARC Invest put their money where their mouth is. So if you have a look at their ARC-Q, so Autonomous Technology and Robotics Holdings, you can see that 18th spot is Nano Dimension with 8.1 million shares and a value of $62 million and a weighting of 1.8%. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a bit about the advantages of Nano Dimension. Before I jump into this, if you are enjoying this video, I'd love for you to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for future updates. So if we have a look here, Dragonfly LDM is one of Nano Dimension's flagship machines. So this is one of the machines they sell for about $350,000 per Dragonfly LDM to companies so that they can use it to 3D print devices. So what are the advantages? It's similar to the things that I've mentioned earlier. So we can avoid reliance on third-party manufacturers, so you don't need to outsource the manufacturing. You can accelerate the time to market due to the fact that we can quickly make prototypes, and therefore we can quickly iterate, improve the product and bring it to market sooner, which can save companies loads and loads of money. You can employ an efficient trial and error process for similar reasons. And then, like we talked about earlier, improves IP security because you don't need to outsource the manufacturing anymore. Okay, so those are the advantages. Let's talk a bit about the disadvantages now. And the main one that I'm worried about is the dilution track record for Nano Dimension. This is when they offer stocks, and what happens is the good thing about offering stocks is you raise money, and the company can use that, invest it, acquire companies, improves their cash position. So that's the benefit of that. But there is also disadvantages if you have too much dilution, because it's essentially inflating the stocks that current retailer or current investors have already own. So basically, every time they have a stock offering, those who already own shares are actually losing value in their shares, essentially. So the company actually raised capital every year since 2013. So that's a track record, if you're asking me. But one thing that's more worrying is this. So Stern, who is the CEO of Nano Dimension, said in November that the company had enough cash for its acquisition strategy. So they were happy. They were saying we don't need to offer any more stocks. But right after that, since then, they've sold more than $1 billion of stock through offerings. So that's something that worries me, because the way I think of things is there's three different types of CEOs. Ones that don't say anything and they just let their actions speak for themselves, and those are the best. And then you've got people who say things, say what they're going to do, and then they end up doing it. That's also good. But then you've got some CEOs who say what they're planning to do, or say that they're not going to do something in this case, which is offer more stocks and dilute investors, and then they end up going to do that anyway. So that's a big red flag for me, and it makes you lose trust. It's a bit like betrayal. So that's something that I'm slightly worried about when looking at investing in Nano Dimension. And then you've got other risk factors, which are generic. So future competitors, especially in a market that's so fast-paced and growing and lucrative, you're going to have competitors. But as I said earlier, they've got a significant market share, so they're one of the leaders in 3D printing. You've got low free float, so only 18.3% of Nano Dimension shares are actually free floating, and there is a correlation between the fact that you've got low free float and also negative future returns. But then again, that's all analysis, and lately I don't think analysis has really been very important in valuing the market, so things could be changing very rapidly. I wouldn't. This one is a bit in the air. You've got mass production market challenge. So if you've got a product that's selling for $350,000 and you're selling it to companies, you're not selling it to consumers, you're gonna have some difficulty mass producing. And then you've got the COVID-19 and supply chain crisis. So anytime you are in an industry where there's a supply chain, you are giving up some control. So it's a bit like if you're buying a property and you're part of a chain. It's always better to be no chain. But I think Nano Dimension are able to adapt, like they've shown during the pandemic. They're able to create new technologies to help with whatever situation is going on, such as creating medical devices to help with the pandemic. So I think they're a company that are able to adapt when challenges arise. Okay, so another piece of good news is the fact that they have a CEO, Zivi Nadivi. He's the new president of Nano Dimension, recently appointed. And one of the things that impressed me slightly was this paragraph here, taken from, again, their investor relations. So while CEO of Kelstrom, so basically he was CEO of Kelstrom from 1990 to 2005. And he actually managed to grow the company from $8 million to $330 million over a 5-year period, including 9 acquisitions. So a 4x in 5 years only, and 9 acquisitions. If you look at Nano Dimension, they've recently done so many offerings that they've got a cash position of $1.5 billion. So they've got sitting on a huge amount of cash, and this is exactly the type of president that we need. Someone who is used to and has experience of taking a small company, acquiring, using the capital that they have, and allowing it to grow significantly over a relatively short period of time. And I think he's going to do a great job at that. Yeah, so that's that. So finally, looking back at the stock price. So what I would say is, personally, I'd say this is a very, very decent buying opportunity for myself, but I'm going to wait. I'm not going to jump straight into it. And the reason for that is because after doing some research, like I've just explained to you, there are plenty of good points about the company, but there are also downsides, like the ones that I've mentioned. The one that I'm most worried about is the share dilutions, and investors don't react very positively to that, especially in a high-growing company like Nano Dimension. So I think what I'll do is I will probably hold back. I will do a little bit more research. I'll probably release some more videos on Nano Dimension and let you know what I'm planning to do. But for now, I'm planning to hold back and not purchase anything right now, because I've recently bought some Palantir, and yeah, I'm quite excited about that. Anyway, so that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, I'll be grateful if you could smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for future updates. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you own any Nano Dimension? And are you planning to hold it, keep it, sell it, buy more? And if you found it useful, please do share this with your friends. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.